We're going to go right to the phone line. Stephen Orr's on the line. Stephen, we've got another season of high school football across Texas. Everyone is very excited. But last night's game between Odessa and Monterey, boy, what a surprise. And I was saying earlier that's what high school football is all about.
What a game last night, and what a way to kick off the 2017 season. Odessa and Monterey in a back-and-forth struggle. Odessa established a really good game early, a 14-play drive there to score a touchdown in the first quarter. Monterey battles back and then to lose it there at the end. But, one thing about Odessa, they're up and down as far as talent, things like that, but they always stay hard at it, and that paid off for them last night in a really close game. But I think you can look at both of those teams and think, even in the loss for Monterey, you see a lot of good things there as you get ready to go into the rest of the season.
A couple of other games of note. Now, it's a non-conference game, but the KFYO game of the week is Seminole versus Lubbock.
Well, Seminole versus Lubbock, the Westerners are going to have their hands full. Seminole is an older team. They were a very young team last year, and they surprised people a little bit as they go into the season. Kent Jackson will get behind that big offensive line. He can grind the ball, and I think the key to this game is going to be, can Lubbock High stop the ground game of Seminole? If they can do that and they manage to get some points on the board, they have a chance. But Seminole, a good team last year, a year older, and they're in one of the best districts in 3A districts in this end of the state as far as level of competition, and they're considered to be in the run for district championship there. So the Westerners have their hands full.
Game also tonight, televised statewide on the Fox Sports Southwest Network, which is quite an honor for both teams, is the Shallowater-Idalou game.
Well, Shallowater and Idalou is a game that normally when we're looking at Friday night and when you look at your matchups, that game is one that you're going to pay attention to. Last year, Shallowater really struggled like you're not used to seeing Shallowater struggle. And so we know that they're working hard to try to put things back together and get the ship righted there. Idalou probably in a bit of a reload situation where they're just going to come back and be really good. But I expect this to be a good ball game. I think one of the things for both of the teams and the coaches in this one is how do you manage the distractions and the extra that goes with playing on television on Friday night. And by the way, this is a new thing for UIL, and they're only doing it the first week of the season, just a very few games. Traditionally, they prohibited Friday night football being broadcast because they said it took away from attendance at the game, so they've never allowed that. So they're stepping into the water with a few of these games, and I know this game kicks off at 6 o'clock. That was one of the concessions that had to be made, but, a big deal for Lubbock and a great showcase for smaller school, high school football in the state of Texas.
We'll get to some other games in a minute, but I wanted to talk to you just very shortly. About 2 years ago, I think I witnessed one of the best high school football games in the history of high school football. It was Lubbock Cooper against Stephenville in the playoffs. And Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech had taken the Texas Tech aircraft down from Lubbock to stand on the sidelines and watch the quarterback of Stephenville play Lubbock Cooper. And guess who won that game?
Lubbock Cooper did. On a bomb. It was a phenomenal play. I remember watching that, and everybody when you start that game out, you're watching Jarrett Stidham, and all the with the anticipation that he was coming to Tech and all like that. But Lubbock Cooper shows up and put on a clinic as far as the way they defended Stidham and also the way they performed on offense. And really, that was a big step for Lubbock Cooper as a program, and I think we've seen that continue on. And speaking of Lubbock Cooper, they got a game tonight with Amarillo High School, and what a tough test for them, first game out of the box. That'll be a really good yardstick for both these teams to see where they are.
We've got 1340 The Fan. The game of the week is Estacado versus Hereford. Before you get into that game, I wanted to ask you, have you read The Mighty Mighty Matadors yet by Al Pickett?
I have not, but I've got it on my wish list to get done. Al Pickett is a voice. That guy's seen more high school football and seen more great things than we'll ever tell you, and we enjoy having him on every Friday night talking about his games. But I've visited with Al several times, and what a wealth of high school football knowledge, and I can't wait to read that book.
And a nice guy, too. So Estacado versus Hereford, how do you see that one?
I see Estacado probably coming out with a win there. Hereford still struggling to get on track, and just some conversations I've had. Of course, we wait till we get in the season, but they are going to have a lot of things come together for them, and I think Estacada probably has the speed and the horsepower that they should come out on top in this one if they keep their head in the game. You know, that's the thing with Estacada, especially early, is if they can be consistent and limit errors. When they do that, they're a very good team. So we'll see how that goes, but I kind of think Estacada has the upper hand tonight.
I want to ask you about a few more games. San Angelo Central at Abilene. How do you see that one?
Well, Abilene is Abilene. They're always tough. They're always strong. San Angelo Central certainly has been very strong the last couple of years. I think probably with this one, I'm going to just go with the home team in that one because I think they're very even. But, again, it's the first game of the season, so these are standout games and should be really good games. And it's really a game I'd like to see 5 or 6 games into the season where the teams have the rust knocked off and they're really running at 100%. But it's a great game to start the season.
Brownwood and they're going after Canyon.
Brownwood and Canyon meeting. I think they're playing in Sweetwater.
Yes, sir.
And Brownwood is another storied program. Canyon, very good. They're bringing a lot back from last year, and they can really move the ball around the field. That should be another great game. Probably, if I was going to pick it today, I'd say Canyon has the upper hand just because of offense, but Brownwood certainly, I expect it to be a close game. And really, whoever can establish their game plan and make the game go on the tempo they want, I think that's who wins.
Now, Post is traveling a little bit north. They're going to play at Abernathy this weekend.
Post and Abernathy, and this is another one of those games, the first week of every year we kind of count on. It's become a staple when they're not in the same district, and you've got Abernathy State ranked at number 9 right now. But these two teams are both very big. They're very physical. I think probably just given the fact that the Abernathy quarterback is now a sophomore, he's got a year under his belt, I think Abernathy probably has a slight edge in that one.
Well, that sounds like a good game. How about Bushland at Canadian?
Bushland and Canadian. Coach Chris Ketting takes his team up to 3A. And, you know, I was looking this morning, probably for the first time, and I don't know how many years, Canadian not state ranked in the top 10 to start the season. But I don't necessarily think that it could stay that way. I talked to Coach Ketting earlier in the year. Canadian in a bit of a rebuild for Canadian. It's a little different than a lot of schools when they talk about rebuilding, but he's got a lot of younger kids. They graduated a lot of seniors last year. Bushland is a big and physical team as well. I think it'll be a close game, but just given history and experience, I'm going to lean to Canadian probably with a 3-point win.
Wanted to mention that the West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard Show is broadcast on both KFYO and Sports Radio 1340 The Fan. Friday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight and get all your scores there. Stephen, any other games? Tell me about what's going on with Stephenville this season.
Stephenville is, we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. A bit of a rebuilding there. You don't hear as many big names as much about them, but, you know, they won their game last night over Cleburne in a close ball game, 18-7 there. So not a lot of offense, but they appear to play pretty good defense. We'll just have to keep an eye on Stephenville and see how they go, but they're kind of trying to maybe, I don't know if redefine's the right word, but just see where they are as a team right now.
Best 2 or 3 games in the area in your mind?
Well, I think you've got the ones I like. Certainly, I like that Abernathy and Post game. I think that's going to be a good game. Simply, Shallowater and Idalou, because I always like that game. Plus, it's going to be on TV. Another one I think is going to be really good close by is New Deal taking on Lubbock Roosevelt. New Deal, a perennial power and contender for a district championship in their district every year. Roosevelt has shown sparks at times, and if they get rolling, and if they're doing it, you know, if that happens at the right time, momentum gets on their side, that could be a ball game. Matt, one thing I want to talk about too. Let's get down into 6-man for just a minute. You've got 2 big weekends of football going on right now, one at Jayton and one down at Borden County, where they've got all kinds of 6-man games going on. And if you have a chance tomorrow, say if your team plays tonight and you want to go watch some good 6-man football, you can find some at Jayton or you can find some at Borden County.
Is Borden going to repeat what they did last year?
Man.
Hard to say.
You're asking me a hard question right there.
Man, because they were so good.
Borden County, I don't think they can repeat all the way across like they did last year, but certainly they're going to reload. They're going to have talent. Right now, I think they're ranked number 5 in the state. Happy Cowboys are ranked number 2. That's a team to keep your eye on. They're going to play Richland Springs tomorrow, and that'll be a really good 6-man game as well. But, Ropes got a big win last night, by the way, too. They beat Throckmorton 71-35. And,
holy cow.
Throckmorton's another one of those teams every year we're talking about deep into the playoffs. So for the Eagles to get a win there, that's a great way to start their season.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Orr, I know what you're doing tonight. You're going to be watching the Shallow Water Idalou game, I'll bet.
I'm going to be watching a whole lot of football games. That's the thing about doing the show that people don't realize. We don't watch a lot of high school football. We read about it, we watch clips, we talk to people, but actually sitting in the stands watching games, not so much.
Yeah. Well, listen, you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. It's Stephen Orr. And again, I want to remind everybody that you can watch West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard, or listen to, rather, West Texas Friday Night Scoreboard show on both KFYO and Sports Radio 1340 The Fan. Stephen, have a great weekend.
Matt, you do the same. Thank you.
All right. And you're listening to the Chad Hasty Show here on Newstalk 95.1 FM and 790 AM. KFYO. We'll be right back.